Hello there, welcome back to Simon's Shed. It is time for another Severn Valley Railway layout update. Really been getting back into the hobby recently, so I've been pulling some early mornings and late nights in here to get a bit of modelling time before and after work. So yes, let's have a look what's coming up. Many trees, scenic tweaks, and many point motors. Let's make those trees. We've got a couple of things. I thought I'd try this fine leaf foliage from Woodland Scenics. You can use it in a couple of different ways. It's about 15 to 20 pounds for this box, so not cheap. You can either, and this will probably work quite well for end gauge, find a bit that looks like a tree and just chop it off and plant it, or you can sort of strip all this stuff off and glue it to they do include one free tree armature, or what I'm going to try is, this costs roughly the same price as that little box. I've got plenty of seafoam, so yeah, I'm going to try and glue some of that fine leaf foliage to these and see how that looks. Now, given the cost of this and the amount you get and the amount of large area that I need to fill with trees, that's probably not going to do all of them, so I'm probably going to go back to just sort of gluing the seafoam and dipping it in the fine leaf foliage stuff and gluing that on for the bulk of the trees, but hopefully the fine leaf foliage stuff will be good for some some of the set piece really good trees at the front of the layout. So let's give that a go. Tilly's not been on the channel for a while, she's doing fine, and here's Fern also trying to get in on the action. Meanwhile, back to the trees. We're getting there, still a lot more to do, but let me show you how these different kinds of trees turned out. First of all, we have the Woodland Scenics fine leaf foliage trees, the sort of raw fine leaf foliage. The only problem with these is they look great, but I only managed to get these two trees out of the entire box. So it just kind of depends on your luck really, whether you get a nice bunch of foliage that looks like trees or not. As I say, I only managed to get those two. Next we have the tree armature, the plastic tree armature, which is probably a little bit chunky for end gauge, but that's with the fine leaf foliage on. It took 2 attempts to stick it on because half of it fell off the first time. I was just using PVA and it's quite tricky to get it tacky enough to stick on. So I needed a bit of patience, but yeah, that looks like a good tree. And then we've got the seafoam trees with the fine leaf foliage stuck on. So you can probably see here, this one's still drying. These two are pretty much dry. These were done a little bit earlier. So, whoops. Pleased with how those look. Fairly easy to make. The only problem is what you see here and these has used up almost the entire box, as well as obviously this one. That's the entire box of finely foliage gone. So it's fine if you don't need many trees, and these will certainly find a home. But if you want to make a lot of trees, then I think it's going to be the seafoam and the sort of scatter material that I showed you earlier. I don't think there's much in it in terms of the look. In fact, I think these look better. What do you reckon? This is just the sort of turf scatter. I literally came up with a method to do it, speed things up a little bit, where I would just take the entire seafoam, sort of sprig, get a glass full of PVA, dunk it in, swirl it around, lift it up, drain it off, and then just sprinkle on the scatter, and just keep going round and round that. You find that the white PVA shows through, and you just sprinkle more on, keep covering up, give it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, have another look at it, and just be patient. Dab a bit of glue on any bits that are still bare and add more scatter. But you end up with, I think, really realistic looking trees really quickly. Okay, follow me into the shed. Quick update, I've had a major clear out today. Nothing much different up top, but all the old wood has been cleared out of here, and all the junk's gone from here, and air conditioning units and stuff that I don't need in here now have been moved out. So yeah, it's feeling a lot tidier. And I've been building a lot of trees, and there are the first batch that I've now planted. So the effect I really want is as the train goes over the bridge. Now that's the other thing, I've started sticking this railing back on here, just doing a bit at a time, because if you try and do it all in one go it just falls off, so you need the previous bit dry to support the next bit. So yeah, as the train goes across the bridge, it actually sort of disappears into almost like a tunnel of trees. Just a mass of trees. So we're getting there, but not quite there yet, because I actually ran out of scatter material. So my order came through today, so we've got a load more scatter material to finish off the trees, and here are the remaining trees. So that's that whole box of seafoam now gone and turned into trees, or well, this is what's left. It's not very tree-like, but I've kept it for now. It might come in for use as bushes and so on. And also, when I did that order for the scatter material, the fine turf, I ordered the last batch of 12 point motors. So now I can finish off wiring up the remaining 12 points, and that's all of the points wired up, and they'll all have their frogs powered and be able to be controlled by DCC. So these are the newest I believe the newest version of the Cobalt motors, the IP digital. So we've got all these to program up and install. Got these to plant over there, and I think once those are planted, we'll say this bit's done. I have also, since the last video, chopped off that bit that was above the back scene of the caravans, the trees that just didn't look right, and now I think that looks a lot better than it did. The trees just didn't look right stuck on the back scene, so pleased with that now. And the other thing I've been doing is looking at photos and Google Maps and aerial shots of what's going on here, because yeah, we're moving around this way. So looking at the plan, the original plan, we had the poppy field. There's if you've been on the Severn Valley Railway, there is obviously at the right time of the year, beautiful poppy field over this side, I think. So I might represent that here. And as we come into Kidderminster, there are some allotments here, but then obviously this bit is sort of part of the Severn Valley Kidderminster sort of yard bit that links to the, you got the turntable here, a little bit of track, and then you've actually got a diesel depot here that they've recently-ish built. So the track comes in there. That might need to be shortened a little bit. But yeah, I'm not sure whether to put that diesel depot in or whether it would overpower the scene. I'm certainly not going to build it to scale because it's a 3 road huge tall diesel depot that would probably be from here all the way over here. But yeah, need to have a think about that and decide what to do. But yeah, definitely going to plant those trees, and then the job after that is to code up those point motors. But I do want to get an update out this week, so I'm not sure how far we'll get. Let's see. Well, we didn't get too much further with the rails, handrails on the bridge, but never mind, because we have planted a lot more trees. So that's the whole box of seafoam now down, and I am really pleased with that. I'll be seeing trees, tiny little trees in my sleep, but that is the effect I was going for, so I'm pleased with that bit. Nothing's changed on here. I've already mentioned the tweaks to the background, but what you might notice is I've added the poppy field, and I'm really pleased with that effect because it looks like the real thing. It's quite simple. It's just Woodland Scenics do these T48 flowers, and you get various colours, and literally just soak the area in PVA, watered down PVA, and sprinkle them on straight out of the packet for a poppy field effect. Really glad I had added that in. Now as we move around here, on the Severn Valley Railway, as you come around the corner into Kidderminster, there are some allotments. So I've made a start on that. As it again soaks the area in watered down PVA. And just started this. This is probably dry now. So there's quite a big area of allotments. So that's obviously the base for it, the soil. And where have they gone? Dug out a couple of greenhouses that I had spare, so they'll be used on there, but yeah, obviously needs fencing off and some representations of tiny little plants putting in there, but that's a start on that one. And for here I mentioned that diesel depot. I think I'm going to build it. Remember, this is not necessarily the edge of the layout. It can come out more to meet this, so we have got space, I think, to add the diesel depot, but probably not at full scale, because it would be quite massively overpowering. This is quite close to the allotment, so as I said, I'll probably cut this track down a bit. It just needs to be long enough for a loco past to sort of head shunt onto it and off, so just up to here maybe. So that's that in terms of scenery. The other thing I've been doing is point motors. So we've got the final 12 point motors here, and I'm not entirely, the first 12 were Cobalt IP digital, so IP is the newer model with some improvements. It can handle a wider range of power inputs apparently, and I have reused one of the old Cobalts from Boddenham Woods, and I noticed a couple of things, just little things like this switch here. What you do is you plug it in to your DCC track via these two wires, flick it to set, press whatever button it is on your DCC system that you want to activate this point motor, flick it back to run, and that's it, it's all programmed. But on the original ones, this switch is under here and it's microscopic, so that's a little improvement. They also seem to move back and forth slower. Seems to be a slower action, and I'm sure there's many improvements in the circuitry inside. There's a lot of stuff you can do with momentary switches and normal switches, and getting LEDs to display for certain points, and locking multiple point motors together. So I'll probably have to do a full review, a separate review of these. But I spent a lot of time, the light's terrible here, labeling them with what DCC number I'm going to program. Then I basically took my Z21 system into the house and plugged these straight into the back of the Z21, programmed it like I said before, flicking the switch, press the button, flick the switch back, give it a test. That's it, all programmed up. Obviously cutting all of these wires, stripping the ends, putting the wires in there, adding the crimp splice plugs, so the spade connectors, adding all of those. Yeah, oh, and you have to just slot this in, and obviously slot the metal bar in, stick the sticker on the bottom ready, and just screw that in there. So I've done that. All of those actions times 12 to get the rest of those done, and I've got as far as actually putting in the first one of the remaining 12. So yeah, it's just get the tweezers out and prise, I don't know if you can see it there, the little spring out of the point to make it loose, because we don't want it to be clicky. We don't want it to spring like that one. We want a nice smooth action. Obviously put the T-tap, I think these are called T-tap connectors, squeeze those onto the DCC bus wires, plug the spade connector in. Helpfully, many months ago, I'd already added the frog wire, so that is going to the frog to power that, so that's great, that's already all done. And I'd even remember to drill the hole, which is brilliant. So with all of these set up now, all I have to do is peel the sticker off, stick it in, plug the wires in, give it a test to make sure it's working and in the right position and throwing the point properly, and just push it up firmly and just screw in to keep it secure, and job done. So 1 down, 11 to go. These ones will be easy because they're right near the edge of the board. There's some I've got to do over there at the back which are going to be a little trickier, but that's not particularly interesting to watch, so I will wrap this update up here and give you a quick couple of running shots. But yeah, until next time, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.